Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning. The computer has a mind of its own. So let's do a take two. You're watching Coffee with Kristin and Tina. We're your hosts this morning. This is Kristin Odell of Grow with KLO. I'm Tina Prigge. And we've got a special guest this morning, Kristin. Becky Richards from Summit Clinical Services is joining us.
Good morning. How are you, ladies?
So good to see you, Becky.
Always good to see you.
What's cool is Kristin and I, part of the show is that we're momtrepreneurs, right? We're moms, we're small business owners, and you are as well. Becky is a momtrepreneur. She's got her own business, Summit Clinical Services. You know what, Becky, let's start off. Let's tell people what Summit Clinical Services is, at least, the 50,000 foot picture so they know.
Sure. Summit Clinical Services is actually currently in the process of moving from a solo private practice for behavioral health and substance abuse into almost a group practice. I'm not going to say we're a group practice quite yet, but we're getting there. So we provide psychotherapy services. Easy answer.
I love it. And what that answer encapsulated is you're growing. That is really cool.
Yes, it is. I don't want to say it's overwhelming because it is and it isn't, right? It's just like the natural progression of things is moving a little bit quicker than I had thought we might. And that's a pretty amazing thing.
Is it hard to make that transition, right? When you're a solopreneur and everything is under your control and the buck stops with you and you alone, is it, I don't know, like anxiety, or was it an easy decision, or how was it to start that process to grow?
I guess it was kind of just felt very natural. I don't have a lot of anxiety around it yet, right? Let's say yet, because we're just kind of in the beginning process of that. But I do have another woman who will be starting to see people later this week. So, I'm sure there will be a lot of learning as we grow, but I'm trusting the universe. I'm doing that thing where you just, you trust that the right things will happen when they're supposed to happen. And that mindset has been really, really helpful throughout this process. And I have a lot of faith that this person joining us her name is Susan Chapadak. I have a lot of faith that she's just a great fit for Summit and our mission and what we're trying to accomplish here. So maybe that's why I don't feel anxious, because I think she's going to be wonderful.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
When people reach out to you, what are some of the reasons that they're coming to you?
Oh, well, that is just as broad as you think it might be. Sometimes it's grief kinds of things where they've experienced a loss. Sometimes it's just a, generalized sort of increase in their anxiety. Sometimes it's that they're not quite sure about something and just need like that safe sort of neutral space to process ideas and bounce things off. Sometimes it's personality disorders and the world is telling them that they're not interacting in a way that's meaningful. So, it could be just about anything.
Right. And if somebody wants to engage with you from the time that they reach out until the time they actually get to see you as a provider, kind of what does that process look like?
That's a little bit variable. It just sort of depends. I tend to book my schedule out about a month in advance, and I don't go beyond that because you don't know. I mean, people feel like they've met their goals and they decide that they don't need to be in services anymore. Sometimes, unfortunately, the opposite swing happens too, where they're just not doing great and they sort of fall off the radar. That can happen. um, and all kinds of things in between, schedule changes and that sort of thing. So the long-winded answer is typically within a month.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
great. And
Yeah.
tell them where you're located so that if somebody wants to find you, you're right here in Manitowoc.
Yes, absolutely. And in a really cool space, I think, right downtown. We're located at 820 Washington Street, and it's right across from the courthouse, right, just a few steps away from Briggs and Courthouse Pub and Fast Taco, because I know it's really important to get lunch or dinner right before or after your appointment. So there's all kinds of stuff right within walking distance. It's excellent.
And I love that concept too, Becky. You said people can, meet their goals and maybe
Yeah.
no longer need services. That's brilliant. I
Yeah.
feel like, growing up, my impression was always once you started services, it was like a lifetime thing, right? So I love that. I love knowing that you can set a goal and meet the goal and maybe no longer need services. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and I feel like, for me as a clinician, that's most oftentimes the goal, right? Is to empower people with some psychoeducation or support or whatever it is they need to feel like, okay, now that I've done this, I can go back out and use these things that we've talked about, and I can do this on my own. But I mean, there's people. Certainly there's people that I've seen through most of my outpatient career, to be honest with you, who have just kind of come along with me wherever I've transitioned over the last number of years. And that's perfectly fine too. There's no right way, there's no wrong way to do it, which is, I think, also another really cool thing about therapy.
How did you know when the time was right to step out and put up your own shingle and go into business for yourself? I know it's a big one, right?
It is. It had always been my goal, right? And it was, maybe like in the 5-year plan about a year and a half or 2 years ago. And I had made one transition from a big facility to a smaller private facility. And the stream of folks coming in was very, very slow. And based on where I had been previously, I was acutely aware of what kind of need we have for services in the area. And, just to no fault of their own, right? The place that I was is a wonderful place. And I refer people there all the time. I really, truly do believe that they do great work. But there were just some infrastructure things that weren't working at that point in time. And, we were talking about it at home one evening, and, my husband was like, I think you should just do it. I think you should do it now. And I incorporated Summit on January 5th last year, and we opened our doors on April 4th of last year. So it was like, okay, we're doing it. And like I said, it was kind of in the eventual plan anyway. So I had done a lot of work during the pandemic when we had all of that time, to put a concept together and make a rough draft of a business plan and that sort of thing. So I had a good chunk of those kinds of things done. But ultimately, it was about creating something that was just easier. There's a lot of barriers to care everywhere, and I'm sure that Summit has them too. And I guess I don't know what those are until I get that bit of feedback. And then I like this small space because it's flexible. Like I can make a change in 5 minutes and start doing it in practice in 10. And that's a really cool thing that I never experienced before. So again, the long-winded answer to to the question.
I love knowing that there are these small, like women-powered businesses in the community. I just really feel like it gives it the fabric of the community such strength.
I agree. And it's so cool. It's so cool to watch.
Let's talk a little bit more about women. So you had this brainchild of an idea, Becky, and now it's coming to fruition, and it is the Women's Summit. Let's tell viewers about this, how they can interface, a little bit more about what they can expect.
It's so exciting, isn't it? And it's what, 6 weeks away?
Is it? Oh my gosh.
Yes, it's going to be here before we know it. But yeah, the day, it's a day for us and it's a day by us. It is a women's event. And I really do feel like it is an event. It is, it's gone from like this little idea to like this, it feels very big to me at this point. And it's so cool. And I'm really excited about it.
I don't feel like there's anything else quite like it happening, right? I feel like this is kind of the first of its kind right here for us. And I'm pretty excited. Kristin, what do you think?
I actually was laying in bed last night and telling the session that I'm most excited about is actually yours, Becky.
Oh, really?
Becky's going to be talking about boundaries. I am an achiever. I cannot turn it off. I have a super hard time saying no. And so like when I think about the day, like there's so many incredible things in the day. Like I love yoga. I love eating. I just love Tina. Like everything Tina says is brilliant, right? Like
yes, it is.
And we have all these amazing, like Lori Crawford always inspires me, right? Like there's just the lineup for the day is so inspiring and I'm just so excited about everything. But when I think about like, what session do I feel so excited about? It's your session about boundaries. And what I love when I think about the agenda is I feel like there's something for every woman that's going to be in that room. They're going to find, I believe, many nuggets, but they're going to leave with a nugget that's just going to make them feel better, act better, behave better, whatever it is, they're going to be able to leave and they're going to feel inspired by something that day.
Yes, I feel like, I managing my own expectations, right? But I feel like I am going to leave feeling 50 pounds lighter, but like I could lift the world. That's sort of the feeling that I have about it. Like personally, I will feel like I've been able to release some things or to gain some power and knowledge about some things, and then take that after the day and use it. I'm really excited for Carrie Carbon's part because the holidays have just passed and her most recent little blurb, like, do you like to eat? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. All the time I like to eat.
Right. For no physiological reason. Right.
If we weren't live right now, we'd be eating. I totally get that.
Yes. Honestly, I thought about it. I'm like, well, I think I'm gonna take care of my breakfast before, but I definitely thought about it.
Tina, how about for you? Is there a session that you're super excited about?
Well, I really love the structure of the day, right? Like it's going to start with this sort of going inward and kind of establishing, finding, connecting with our own inner power, right? And then as the sessions progress, we get to learn how to take that and protect it and nurture it and grow it. We're going to learn a little bit about like eating choices, like you were saying with Carrie Carbon, and how to, nourish ourselves. We're going to learn some good movement with Becky Hoffman, how to like take care of that and stretch it and grow. And then Becky, you're going to help us with establishing boundaries now that we've got all of that. Kristin, you're working us through the day, making sure that it flows, helping it connect, networking us. And then we're going to end up talking about community and connecting with one another. Kind of that rising tide raises all ships. I think what I'm most looking forward to is after the event, knowing that we've connected with all these women. I'm looking forward to the next time I'm in line at the bank or at the grocery store or like out at an event and I see someone, I'm just that nod of recognition, like, yeah, we had that experience together. Like, I kind of know you now, you know? I love that that concept of like connecting with these other women.
Yes. And I love that the size, it's not too much, right? Like it's not so small that it's going to feel like, like you're super vulnerable or that all eyes are on you, but it's not so big that you won't be able to allow yourself to be vulnerable and to be able to contribute and interact. And like you said, Tina, I love the way the flow of the day has been set. I think that it is just like it's going to be this growing sense of who we are as people, as women, as individuals, even as a group, right? And then we'll be able to take a look at where we end and other things begin and how to determine that and how to respect the fact that, boundaries aren't the same every day. And that's not a bad thing. Like it's okay to embrace those kinds of things. And then once you have all of that stuff sort of figured out and you have a schema for it, you can take all of that back out and do something meaningful with it in the community. However you define community, right? Like even if your community is, your own home or your workplace or, the Manitowoc community as a whole, there's definitely a piece of that, like, okay, now that I'm feeling empowered and now that I'm feeling fulfilled, how do I share that? How do I positively influence the things that are around me? And I'm really excited.
Yeah. I love the idea of having that sort of personal tool, right? And like what you were saying earlier, Becky, is the universe is always conspiring in your favor, right? And anyone can say that. The universe is always conspiring in your favor. And if we can believe that, if we can even have that little tool in our arsenal, we become better, we become stronger, we can tap into that personal power. And Kristin, I'm just so excited because I love working with you. And even when we sit down to these planning meetings, you inspire me, Kristin. You both do. But I think it's going to be so fantastic as you walk us through the day.
Yes, you are very good at drawing those boundaries.
I'm just very good at keeping on task. We'll call it that.
It's an incredible skill, though, right? I mean, it's really kind of a talenty skill, I would say. Definitely something I don't have in me.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. So, one of the things that I think is really cool, like somebody asked me this past weekend about, is this like a personal development thing? Is this a professional thing? Like, what is it? And I was like, I wouldn't call it a professional development thing, but I definitely think there's elements of this that are going to enable professional connections, right? Like the reason this group of women is together is because of professional connections. But I believe like the personal development that's going to happen there is also going to be really powerful and amazing. So I loved, kind of hearing about that. But when I think about this group of women that came together, like we all bring different things to the table. And I would say we're even just different in how we do work and our pace, but the cool thing about that is like we balance each other. Like we were all needed around that table to be able to create this event. Right. And, those type of things you can take back to your workplace. You can take back to your family. Like there's just elements of this that play in so many places.
Absolutely agree. Absolutely agree.
Should we talk details, date, time, entries, how many people, how many tickets we're selling?
Ooh, sure. I thought that clip showed the details, but it doesn't. So let's tell the details, Becky.
February 25th, right? I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I'm pretty sure it's February. But there you go.
The date, the time is wrong. So we're actually going to start at 9 a.m.
Oh, because
we have just so much amazing content that we're going to do 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. on that day.
It's going to be at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum in that beautiful room overlooking the river and the submarine.
And that I think is going to be
inspiring
great.
place. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You get, a glimpse of downtown Manitowoc, which I have to say, I'm just so thrilled with what's going on downtown and all of the beautification kinds of things. And, we can see all of that and sunshine or, whatever it is, we'll roll with it.
If the sunshine isn't out of the room, it will certainly be in the room.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, February 25th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're talking about Carrie
Yes.
Carbon. She's a registered dietitian. She's going to be talking about
Mm-hmm.
food choices, relationships with food.
Yeah.
Let's talk about food. Grow It Forward will be catering the lunch that day.
Yes. And I'm very excited about that too. I think it's just really nice to support local, and I think that was a very easy choice for us to make.
Yeah. I love the fact that Grow It Forward, all of their greens are grown on site. Right?
Yes, isn't that the coolest?
Jason said, community happens when amazing people come together and work towards making a better life for each other. Mm-hmm. Amazing job, ladies. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
That's one thing I really appreciated is as we came together, the six of us, and as we're talking about this event, one thing that I love about it, Kristin, you were mentioning, is it personal development? Is it professional development? I don't know how to describe it, but every time we talk, I feel inspired. Every time we're together, I learn something, right? And so to have this room of other women that we can all grow, that we can be inspired by, that we can learn from, I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, me too. It'll definitely be a cup filling kind of event.
So if somebody wants tickets, I kind of was trying to think about what's the best way to do this. So there's a Facebook event for this. You can go search Women's Summit. You should be able to find it. So search Manitowoc. Registration is on Eventbrite. So if you go to Eventbrite and you search Women's Summit Manitowoc, it will pop up. It'll be the first event. You'll see something similar like this, or the picture of us. You will see that out there. You can register right there. Everything is done online. And the price for the event is $75. And that includes everything for the day, which is incredible.
Yeah, and it's a Saturday, so you're encouraged to wear comfy clothes, bring a yoga mat. Just, this is all about being comfortable and happy with who you are and where you are and who you're there with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very much
Let's just let everybody know. So in this picture, these are the 6 women who will be presenting for the summit. So you're talking to half of us right now, but I just want to go through so people are familiar. We've got Carrie Carbon on the far left. She's a registered dietitian. Then there's Becky Hoffman, and she's a yoga instructor. Then there is Kristin Odell, Tina Prigge. Then there is Lori Crawford, and she is a coach. And then there's Becky Richards. I love it.
Yeah. It's a pretty impressive lineup.
We mentioned that we're momtrepreneurs, which means we all have our own small businesses. Becky, that includes you. And I know that you've actually got some appointments you have to take care of this morning. So I'm going to let you go. I just wanted to say thank you so much for this awesome conversation and for joining us.
Oh, thank you guys for having me. Like I mentioned earlier, it's really helped me motivate today. And I have got almost half of those, sort of things for the day taken care of because of this. So this has been great for more than just one reason. But thank you both very much for having me today.
You bet. Thanks for joining us. See you later, Becky.
Thanks.
Bye, Becky.
How fun was that, Kristin?
It was so good. I'm super excited about this event. The other thing I wanted to mention or thought of is we're only selling 50 tickets for this event. Right. And Becky touched on this a little bit. The group is pretty small and it's meant to be that. We want it to feel a little bit intimate. And the last I checked, now this was kind of earlier last week, we had already sold 10 tickets. So we're 20% in. And I know they're going to start going fast now that the holidays have passed us. So if this is an event that you are interested in and you are available, I would recommend buying your ticket right now, because there was a lot of people that clicked interested and we're expecting those to start flipping into tickets really soon.
Yeah. Treat yourself. This is an investment in yourself, because not only will we grow personally and, be inspired individually, we're going to connect, right? Like, I just love the idea of spending the day with all of these other great women in the community. I like to say that a rising tide raises all ships, right? And this event is no exception.
hmm Yeah, and I think this is another opportunity also to like grab your sister, grab a mom or aunt, grab your best friend, grab a colleague, and say, "Hey, let's go do this together." As much as it's a day for inspiration and empowerment for women, like bring your friends, bring the people that mean the most to you, and walk through that process together and support each other. Like it's just going to be a really really great day.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm just going to put this little blurb back up. Um, you know, it's a women's summit, so it's powered by local women. Again, it's Lori Crawford, Becky Hoffman, Carrie Carvin, Kristen Odell, Tina Prigge, and Becky Richards. We're going to explore empowerment, nutrition, yoga, personal boundaries, community connectedness. It's going to be right in the heart of the community at the Wisconsin Maritime Museum. And I like the last sentence says, participants will leave Women's Summit with a sense of purpose, power, and perspective to take back to their day-to-day lives.
Mhm.
I'm so in.
I know. It's going to be really good. I'm so inspired. I'm actually in the process. You kind of mentioned this, but I'm kind of emceeing the day. So I'm doing a session on networking, and we're going to help everyone just feel at peace and feel comfortable in that room to start the day. And I'm really excited and honored to be able to do that. But I'm just also starting to think about the transitions from session to session. And you guys, I have all these notes. I've been taking notes and writing things, because every time we meet with this group, I just want to listen to everybody speak, and I want to like write all the notes down and like soak it in. And so I'm really starting to be intentional about like, what do I want to transition with, and how do I want to inspire the next session and the next session and the next session, which is going to be really cool. And the other thing you can watch for is we're going to release the schedule for the day fairly soon, probably in the next week. And so you'll get some more details and a little bit more meat and potatoes coming
Yeah.
up soon.
And it's also not designed, I don't want any viewers to feel like anxious. It's not about putting anyone on the spot. Attendees aren't expected to make any kind of presentation. It's all just about, you know, you going in and then finding that connection. But don't worry, like, it's not like in school where you have to get called on or like go up to the board or anything like that.
Right. Right. And you're going to get a journal for the day to write in, and a pen. We're going to have beverages and lunch for you. Like, we're really there to kind of wrap you in a hug and make sure that you have an experience that is not only just a great experience that day, but something that you can carry forward.
Yeah, it's going to be a great way to hang out, I think, a great way to connect. And I feel like since the pandemic, I definitely haven't done anything like this.
hmm Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I love to just do yoga. I try to go weekly. Like, that's a personal goal for me. But it's a smaller class usually, 10 women, 15. Sometimes there's guys there too. But I think about 50 people going through those movement and what that looks like and what that will feel like. And to me, there's just energy and inspiration just even in that.
Yeah.
Uh, so
And just to share that snapshot in time, right? To always know going forward, we experienced February 25th together, right?
yes. And it's still really great time. We've talked about goals and the new year. This is at the end of February. It's in kind of that deep part of winter for us. And I think there's just this is a great time for us to really reflect and be inspired and set intentions for the next year. And again, you don't have to. If your intention is, I don't want to set any intentions, you can do that. Like, we're going to support you in that. But we're also going to be there to cheerlead you and support you if you say, like, I had this brilliant idea, or this thought came to me, or this session was so meaningful, I can't wait to do this. Like, we're going to support you through that.
Kristen, just for some perspective, I'm pretty sure it was a February long ago at Snoga that I met you for the first time.
It probably was. I'm pretty sure I have pictures from that event. I need to go look at the date. I need to go look at the date. So when we talk about connections and building close relationships, one of the things that I'm going to talk about is you and I, our relationship, how we met, and how one moment in time, Tina and I had one moment in time on snowshoes in the woods at Woodland Dunes that forever changed our course to this, to the moment we're in right now. So
Yeah.
we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how we did it. And, I'm going to reflect a little bit on like the key points, like what helped nurture that. And I'm excited to share that story because for some people, networking can be really challenging. It can induce anxiety. Some people just don't know I don't know how to start a conversation, or I don't know how to find people that, there's mutual benefit. Like, I don't know how to do it. And so I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to put everybody at ease a little bit and help them get to know some of their neighbors so that we can go through the day without feeling panicked about who's this weird person sitting next to me, or, whatever. Like, we are going to be there because we are connecting and supporting each other. And it's a no judgment zone.
Yeah, and I believe like one of the things that we're even going to hear more about is how to embrace that weird. Not only our own weird, but how to sort of embrace and respect someone else's weird, right? Like weird is usually how we describe something that's different than us, but that doesn't mean that different is not wrong, right? Like there's beauty in all of it. So
Right. I mean, I just think about showing grace. Like, that person gets to be exactly who they are. And it may not be what I am or what I believe in or whatever, but like, that doesn't mean that they can't be who they are. They can't be inspired or empowered to do the things that they want to do. And, um,
sometimes it's so important to put ourselves in that environment, right? Where there is that belief. And sometimes that's all you need.
right. Well, and we're led to believe we need to be divisive and it's this or that. We live in a very this or that culture, and there's not a lot of gray area or flexibility with that. And I think a mindset of being flexible and accepting and showing people um, that you cannot agree with what they're doing and you can still love on them is an approach that really can help move us forward.
Yeah, I love it. I'm super excited. Well, Kristen, we have talked the morning away. Actually, it's only been half an hour, but you guys, for more information about this, check out Facebook, search Women's Summit. You can also look for it on LinkedIn. You can probably even just Google it. I think it might come up.
Yeah.
Also, if you go to Eventbrite and type in Women's Summit, you should be able to find the information about tickets. Come and join us. Come and have this day and experience with us. We would love to share it with you.
Yeah, and in the coming weeks, we're going to have some of the other speakers on as well. So we're going to do a little bit of a spotlight series here with some of these other women, just because they're incredible. And then we're going to have them share about their businesses and their section they're going to be speaking about. So that'll be coming up. And I will try later today, to drop the link right in the comments here. So if you watch the show and you want to register from the show, I'll actually drop the link right in there so you don't have to go look for it.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for watching Coffee with Kristin and Tina. Kristin, as always, so wonderful to connect with you. I really enjoyed having Becky Richards on as our guest today. We'll see you next time on Coffee with Kristin and Tina.
Bye, guys.
Everyone.